Hi everyone, welcome back to AFTV. Now, I know what everyone's been saying over the last couple of days. It's been a draining transfer window, let's say. Are we getting Vlahovic? Are we not? We didn't. Are we bringing anyone in? Are we going to add depth to the squad? We didn't. And we saw a load of players leaving the club. Ainsley Maitland-Niles at the beginning of the window, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang on deadline day. And that's proven to be quite an emotional one, actually, with his goodbye message. I think Arsenal fans kind of thinking, where did it all go wrong? But that's all to explore another day. We are here to talk about Auston Trusty, who on deadline day was the one signing we actually did announce. It came with scepticism from Arsenal fans for a lot of reasons. We'll go into that in a second. And I'm no expert, but I have brought in an expert to discuss it. Before we break down the deal, what it's all about, you know, what he could offer to us, what kind of player we brought in on deadline day. Remember, he doesn't join till the summer. That is a key detail. Let's look at what Arsenal have said about the signing, because they did put out a statement on the website. And here's what they said, that Trusty will basically, we've signed him. He's currently playing in the MLS with Colorado Rapids. He's 23 years old and he'll stay with Colorado Rapids until at least the end of the Premier League season in May. Obviously, their season goes throughout the calendar year. We end our season in May. The intention is then to loan him to Europe for the 2022-23 season to further progress his development. The transfer is subject to completion of regulatory processes, which, as far as I'm aware, has all been done. So, he's an Arsenal player. He won't join until May, and then the intention is to send him out on loan to continue his development. 23 years old, so he's at a good age where you'd think, you know, he's probably at an age where he could contribute immediately. He's playing first-team football out in the MLS. He's done a statement himself, actually, speaking on Twitter on the Colorado Rapids official, social media channels. He said, "It's surreal. It's been a long process, been a dream of mine since I was a kid." He says he's speechless. Obviously, he mentions that Arsenal are a big club and that it's a massive opportunity. He says, "I'm honoured to be in the position I am today. I'm ready to go." So, look, a big congratulations to Auston Trusty on the move. He's clearly elated, clearly delighted. Arsenal fans, we all welcome him to the club. But I want to hold my hands up. I don't watch much of the MLS. I see it sometimes on Sky Sports, but I don't really follow it. And again, I'll be really honest, I didn't know who Auston Trusty was when that announcement came out of absolutely nowhere. He is the second player we brought in from the MLS this January. Matt Turner also joins in the summer. He's expected to be the understudy to Aaron Ramsdale. Obviously played for the US the other day as well. But we're here to focus on Trusty. And in doing that, you know, I like to come with my numbers and my stats and try to do my research. Numbers isn't enough for this. We're here, we've got a proper expert who can talk us through this transfer. And I've brought in Chris Smith, freelance football writer covering the MLS. I've got Chris with me here. Chris, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And I really appreciate you having me.
No, so listen, really appreciate you coming on. I said it there in my intro. I really don't know enough about this. Chris, you've been covering the MLS. Tell me just a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you got into covering the MLS, all that.
Yeah, so obviously, as you say, freelance writer at the moment, covering MLS for 90 Min. Been doing that with 90 Min since August, but been a journalist since the 2018 World Cup. And my love for MLS really started around that time, just sort of writing some previews and watching some playoff games, and I kind of fell for it, and I've got hooked on it ever since.
Amazing. I think you said you're heading out to the States soon to cover some MLS. I mean, that sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've got a couple of trips planned this year. Couple have been confirmed, couple are still in the works, but looking forward to getting over there and getting back in person, and hopefully it's the start of quite a few more trips to come.
Great stuff. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna go straight in with the more cynical element of this transfer. Maybe cynical is not the word, but let's say Arsenal fans are sceptical. That's a better word, sceptical. Because we brought in a player from the Colorado Rapids. I think there's two things in this deal that feel a little bit strange. The first one is that Colorado Rapids are owned by KSE, Stan Kroenke and the team there. It feels, I mean, that obviously always makes you think naturally, is this an easy deal to do? Is this a deal that maybe goes beyond football and what goes on the pitch? I'll ask your opinion on that, but I'll also add that being 23 years old, he's a player who you'd think could come in and give something immediately, but the intention is immediately to send him out on loan and develop him a bit further. He's a left-footed centre-back. There is room for that in the squad. I want to be really open-minded about this transfer deal and really welcome him to the club properly. But what are your thoughts and feelings on Arsenal fans' scepticism from that side of things?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's tough to say until he actually gets over there and gets involved, and I don't like to make judgments before that happens, but I do understand the scepticism. Colorado Rapids are traditionally a very low-spending club in MLS. I think they were actually bottom of the league for spending last season, despite finishing top of the Western Conference. So on the face of it, it could just be a play to get them some more allocation money to throw around and bring in some more players. I know they're looking for a striker at the moment, and with Trusty leaving, eventually they're going to need some more defensive depth, which they needed anyway. So I can understand the scepticism, but I wouldn't like to make too much of a harsh judgment until he actually gets over to London and starts getting involved, and we'll see what happens. Well,
I completely agree, because, we've seen his video. He's delighted. He's over the moon, and like all footballers who get to that level, A, you've got to be very talented, but B, he'll be super driven to make something of this opportunity. Let's go a little bit into what he's like. I want to hold my hands up and say, my first port of call was YouTube. So I jump in, and this might be a wild thing to say. Stylistically and profile-wise, reminded me a lot of Gabriel. Left-footed centre-back, looks tall, quite powerful. Tell us more about him. What's he like?
Yeah, exactly that. I think the first thing that jumps out at him is he's a very aggressive, sort of front-footed defender. He likes to come out and challenge a striker and deny him that space. Probably needs to bulk up a little bit more if he's going to do that kind of stuff in Europe. Can think of quite a few big strikers who you probably find it quite difficult to deal with, and you don't really come across those kind of strikers very often in MLS. But if there was one thing he needed to improve on last season, before play started, it was probably his ball playing. He was a little bit sort of slack with his passing and a little bit sloppy, but he really did improve that last season. He started sort of playing through the lines a lot better and really progressive runner with the ball. He'll sort of read the space, pick the ball up, and then he'll drive out with it really well and put the team on the front foot. So there's lots to like. How that translates to Europe, obviously it's a different standard in MLS, but we'll have to wait and see. And that loan that he gets when he first gets over there will be really important. But yeah, aggressive, tall, powerful, and a lot more skillful now after this past year, getting regular games under his belt. So a lot to like.
I mean, profile-wise, ticks all the boxes. I've not put these words in your mouth. Progressive runner, plays through the lines. Brilliant. That's what we paid £50 million for Ben White for. He was so good at those things. So cool, profile-wise, absolutely fits the bill. How's he done in the MLS? Because as you said, I think they finished top of the conference, their conference division. Colorado Rapids. He's a big part of that team. Am I right? He's played. How's he done in the MLS?
Yeah, he was a huge part of that team. He played the full 90 minutes in 33 of their 34 regular season games. Often maybe as part of a back two, and then over time he progressed as probably the most important part of a back three that performed really well together. So definitely last season it was his best season in MLS. Before then he's had a bit of a mixed bag. He showed loads of promise with the Philadelphia Union and then lost his place and made some public comments, just sort of never really explicitly said that he was angry that he'd lost his place, but kind of threw a few warning shots, and then got his move to Colorado in 2020 and only played 8 games. But they had more than anyone a disrupted season by COVID, and sort of he picked up an injury and just found it tough to get really up to speed in sort of fitness. But he's worked hard before the 2021 season, won his place, and to be honest, in the Defender of the Year award for MLS last year, he was probably the biggest snub on the shortlist.
Really?
He was, yeah. He was a defensive linchpin for the top seed in the Western Conference, and his head coach Robin Fraser, who I've spoken to in the past and I've got a lot of time for, has spoken really highly of Auston Trusty at multiple occasions and his work ethic and willingness to improve. So, and you've seen that in the last year; it's paid dividends.
Oh, fantastic! So, Okay, all sounds great. How about when it comes to the US men's national side? We've seen some great players, make their way to Europe as well, really succeed. I know he's not happening quite for him at the moment at Chelsea. I'm a massive fan of Christian Pulisic. Stefan as well made the move. We've seen Matt Turner do it, but plenty others as well. In terms of his sort of standing when it comes to the men's national team, has he been playing much? Do you think he will get more game time going forward? What's your feeling?
So at youth level, he's got quite a lot of caps. Obviously 23 now, so those days are behind him. He got a senior call-up, I believe, off the top of my head in 2019. Don't quote me on the exact year, but didn't get on the pitch. And then he's received a call-up this January for a training camp that involved a lot of MLS players, just to sort of get people fit and ready for these World Cup qualifiers. And as I say, not capped yet, but hopefully this move to Europe will push him up the depth chart a little bit, because it is very competitive at centre-back for the US at the moment, with John Brooks at Wolfsburg, Chris Richards at Hoffenheim, Miles Robinson and Walker Zimmerman are two really strong MLS defenders. So plenty of battling to go on there, and hopefully this will boost his profile and boost his ability.
Did the move surprise you? I don't know if you'd caught wind of it before we all had, and then obviously the first thing that goes through everyone's mind is, is he good enough? Is he what's going? Did it surprise you that he got this move to Europe? Even forget Arsenal. I mean, was he being tipped for a move out of the MLS?
I wouldn't say that he was being tipped for a move. He's always been public about wanting to get that move, which a lot of American players are nowadays. It's such a pipeline now compared to what it used to be. But I didn't have him up high on my list of players who would earn his move, and especially not to a club the size of Arsenal. There was only one or two reports that came out earlier last year about the possibility of him moving, and to be honest, it didn't really hit home very much. But yeah, it caught me by surprise the other day, but good luck to him. It's great for the player, obviously. Great for the Colorado Rapids to send a player to Arsenal, and hopefully it works out well for Arsenal as well.
No, I've got to say, look, I mean, obviously we think about it through the Arsenal prism and stuff. I'm super happy for him. And you can see, he's been really talking about it on social media. He's really excited. No doubt give it his all. Just some final words from you on the move and maybe him as a character. What kind of guy are we getting?
Well, I think you say how eager he is to make the move. I think the best thing from an Arsenal perspective for anyone who's got any doubts about what they're getting is he will work so hard to sort of repay that trust. He really wants this move to Europe, and I think Arsenal's probably a dream destination for him that maybe even he wasn't expecting to go to. And over the past couple of years, he's already put so much work into his game to get to the point that he is now. And now that he's got this reward and there's so much more ahead of him, he'll probably double his work ethic. And
amazing. If
nothing else, the price you'll pay for a 23-year-old MLS centre-back is probably not a huge risk in the context of what Arsenal could actually spend. So yeah, I'd be cautiously optimistic on that front.
Yeah, fair enough. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, really appreciate your insight. I mean, it would take me hours and hours of research, and I don't think I got anywhere near that. So, Chris, thank you so much. Just quickly let everyone know where they can find you, what kind of stuff you're doing, social handles, all that.
Yeah, so you can get me on Twitter at CJSmith91 and on Instagram at Chris_Smith_MLS. Check out the 90 Min website for all my MLS coverage, and yeah, give me a read and get in touch.
Amazing. We'll chuck that all in the description below as well. Guys, a big thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed this video. Chris has been fantastic. Hopefully that's giving you a little bit more insight on not only the deal, but the kind of player we're getting, what the next year and a half, 18 months could look like for him. And just, maybe just an understanding, a left-footed centre-back, he's been saying, plays through the lines, can dribble, all these things. Those are the kind of centre-backs we're targeting profile-wise. So let's see. We won't see him in an Arsenal shirt for a while, but I'm sure we'll hear more about this deal as we edge closer to him joining permanently in the summer, and we'll keep an eye on where the loan move will be for Auston Trusty. Who knows, maybe he'll perform so well in pre-season, Arteta will even keep him for the season. If we get Europe next year, that's the big thing. A big thanks to Chris again. Thank you for joining. Like this video if you enjoyed it. More content to come out throughout the channel, throughout the rest of this week. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.